Listen.
I've been hearing a lot lately about men don't talk, but in my experience, men do talk, just people aren't listening. So it's going to be me and a group of blokes discussing our struggles and victories through life. Warning, there may be some bad language, so apologies to all the mums, especially my own. Let's get going.
Listen.
Abin, yeah, this is the Black Country Blokes, showing the fact about everything that is mental health, disability, and life in general. Here with me, Kev Dillon, and my partner in crime, as always, Lee Cadman. And we're joined by Jen from the Black Country Food Bank. So, Jen, first of all, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, me and Mum went down to the Black Country Food Bank the other day, and it's amazing. So, we're going to be talking about that and everything they offer and the wonderful volunteers. But as always, we're going to start with our gratitude list. And I'm grateful. I'm actually feeling well. My migraines, touch wood. I've been having migraines, everyone knows, for the last 8 weeks. And touch wood, I haven't had one for about 3 days. And just not being in pain. You know what I mean? Not feeling like you got the bad headaches. Anyone who has migraines, bloody hell, wakes me up in the night. I've been in that much pain. And then you dread it. You have a little twinge in your head and you're frightened it's going to happen again. So I'm grateful for touch wood, not having one of them for a few days. Bruv, what are you grateful for?
Mine's easy this week, Kev. Finally, today, got an assessment for hoist for my daughter for the house, and it's took since July to even get them round. So, yeah, I'm really grateful. Grateful for Emily, can't remember your second name, it's gone out of my head, for coming round today and assessing our house and suitability. And hopefully, we're one step further to getting it sorted.
Yeah, it's June, I believe it is. It's June or July.
I can't remember now. It might have been June. I can't remember. I've looked through actually earlier how many phone calls I'd made in that time, and it's going on for just over 100 phone calls to try and get it sorted. That's let alone emails.
What we need is, for that 100 phone calls, one of those got sorted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We were saying we need somewhere like a citizen's advice for this, don't we?
Yeah, for people who deal with disabilities, it needs to be, because you could cut down. That's 100 phone calls in my own time, but someone else answered that phone as well on the other end, and that we could cut down a lot of waiting time through the NHS if they knew the pathways that to take. It could have been a lot shorter. Yeah.
But how many times I've said, like, a disability, you walk in, there should be there someone saying, look, when you come out of here, Lee's going to help you with benefits, Jen's going to help you out with equipment, Kev's going to help you out with social. There's people out there, but we don't know how to reach those people, and we don't know which person helps us.
That's right. Yeah. It'd be great if we had one person to all the issues we have to deal with my daughter. It'd be great if we had one person we could go to who could then sort those problems for us. Because I absolutely love main carer for my daughter. I absolutely love the job of being her carer. Enjoy being in the company. Enjoy doing all the stuff we do with that. But that side of things, it takes up so much of my time when I should be caring for her. To have a one-stop shop as such, one person I could go to with any problems we have to get it sorted, that'd be great.
But it's not even just time; it's emotion, isn't it, Lee?
Oh yeah.
Sometimes when I talk to you, you look like you've had 12 rounds. You know, well, good odd.
It's, as you know, my daughter doesn't sleep very well either, so it's a lot of sleepless nights on top of that. Then you're phoning up people, as I say, well over 100 times since June or July. That's a lot of times to be found. And like I say, I haven't counted the emails that I've sent. And that's a lot of time and effort and emotion gone into sorting one problem.
How many times I phone you all and it's, oh yeah. Have they got back to you? Bloody hell, Kev. They've passed me back to Jen, who's passed me back to Kev. So it's, you get your hopes up that we're winning.
Yeah.
And then, oh no.
I might be doing that now. Yeah, well, but I need a bit of a win at the moment, so I'm taking it.
And Jen, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful, I think, for my kids actually today.
No.
Having just talked about them a little bit. We just had a bit of a chat.
Is that because they didn't rob your sticky toffee pudding?
I think it's the fact that he rang up and asked me if he could have that sticky toffee pudding. I just think that, like, it's hard, isn't it, to be a teenager in the current world we live in, and all the things that are going on for them. I think they've done really well to get through the pandemic and adjust back to kind of life. They've missed 2 years, haven't they, of real kind of key development. So, I think I'm proud of both of them, both, they're 14 and 16. it's not easy being a teenager. They do very well, both of them.
It's funny, you know, when you look back and people go, "Oh, the best years of your life."
Yeah.
I didn't find that.
No, me neither.
Because in my 20s, I was finding myself. I decided what partners I was going to go for. Right.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I fancy that person. Oh, I don't like it. Oh, I won't go for it then. Or I want to take up boxing. Oh, I don't like boxing. You bow down to your peers.
You do.
It's not until you're an adult you go, well, I want to
That's right.
pursue that. I want to enjoy that, or I don't want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I just remember being a teenager and just thinking, I don't know what to do. Like, it's so much choice and people telling you to do all kinds of things. And like you say, by the time you get to 20, you just think, actually, I'm a grown up now. I can do what exactly I want to do. So, yeah, I think they've done very well to come through what they've done and be flourishing as they are, both of them. So, yeah.
And I think the teenage years, I mean, my daughter, she's 7 now. So, the last 3 years, she was through the pandemic, but she was with Daddy.
Yeah,
in a lovely house, and we were playing
Yeah.
Harry Potter. But I felt sorry for the teenagers who were used to being free.
Yeah.
They were, I want to go and see my friends. I want to
right.
go and see my boyfriend or my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And at those ages, and we talked about this all the way through, as a grown-up, you realise consequence. I can't go and see my friends because I'll bring the germs back to my family. But as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult, your friends are the most important thing in the world. And if you're in love, oh my God, no one's ever felt love like it. And
No.
it's emotions on steroids, isn't it?
It really is.
Because it's new, and you the first time you feel it, it's wow, and no one else has ever felt it. So they had to sacrifice in completely different ways to us.
It did. Yeah, and the hormones are flying around the body as well,
Yeah.
and they're growing, and things are changing for them all the time, aren't they? Plus, they weren't allowed to see their friends, and I mean, it's all very well being a parent, but you they go to bed children and wake up 13, and as my dad always says, you go from hero to zero literally overnight, and they don't want to hang out with you. They want to, rightly so, be with their friends and learning how to socialize. So yeah.
And a lot of those rites and passages, I know my friends' kids, and their kids have turned 18, they're supposed to go into a pub, or the kids up here have gone to university and they're at the party, and next thing you know, they're sat in a bedroom doing their courses, and they spent all that money and they didn't have the full enjoyment of joining in with all the partying, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It was a tough time, wasn't it? It's tough, but so yeah, I think that's what I'm super grateful for today.
I mean, the Black Country Food Bank, me and Mum, we've been meaning to get you on for years, and we've talked about it, but it wasn't until my daughter was doing Harvest Festival.
Yeah.
And we went, and they mentioned it, and I went, that's a great idea. So I went and Googled you and phoned.
Yeah.
And I thought, great. And then you invited me and Mum to come down and see it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you were working, wasn't you?
Yeah,
you couldn't come up.
We will get there, though.
We'll go again.
Yeah.
But it's great. We went with our donations, but it was wonderful seeing it, because you don't know what's going to be like. And it's this factory, and I remember Mum going, "Wow, look at all the stuff you got!" And then the penny drop. It wasn't just for Briley Hill. No. This was for the whole of the Black Country, and the Black Country's a big bloody area, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. So we've got 27 food banks across 3 boroughs, Dudley, Sandwell and Walsall. But we also work with other charities in Wolverhampton. So it's gone from an organisation that started in 2006 with 1 food bank to something that's quite a thing to run. It's over 300 volunteers. We did 536,000 meals last year, and we're nearly at the same point now. So we're already looking at a lot more food to go out this year. It's definitely worth, if anybody wants to come and visit, it's definitely worth coming and have a look at the warehouse. Give us a ring and I'll happily arrange a time to show anybody around that wants to see exactly what goes on. And it's good because it then connects you to the donation. You can understand how we do what we do and where the food goes to and all that sort of thing. So it's really a helpful way to connect you to the charity.
So when we were taking our stuff round, and me and my wife were going around the shops, and it's what should we put in, and it's like sanitary towels and then beans, because that's the first thing I think of a can. But then she was saying tinned fruit. So we took our little donation there. And as you say, it was amazing seeing how many beans there are.
Yeah.
Like there's room bigger than this full of beans. And like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Which is wonderful because they'll all get used, you said.
They will.
But it was the things that, like milk and
Yeah.
fruit juices and things that I think, blooming heck, I wouldn't necessarily afford to those things.
No. So what's interesting is there are certain items that will go in everybody's parcel. So like milk and fruit juice, every single person, every single parcel has milk and fruit juice in. So that's why we get through it more than anything else. So we get through like literally hundreds of cartons of long life UHT milk and then long life fruit juice, the stuff from concentrate. Other items we can kind of mix and match a little bit, or we can there's a bit more variety, so we can swap things around, but they are really critical to the parcel, and that's why we often don't have enough of that sort of thing as well. And we are providing 27 food banks. So say on a Monday they all send in an order for 50, 60, 70 cartons of UHT milk. That's gone very, very quickly. So as I was saying to you, Kev, when you were there, the turnaround of stock is really quick. So sometimes you look at the shelves and think, oh, you're doing really well. You've got loads of that, but it goes so fast. So it's really critical that we do, make sure that we communicate the items that we are running low on. And milk and fruit juice is something that we're always going to need. We're always short of that. Whereas things like baked beans, some reason are just always associated with food bank, but as I always say, I think it's because they are so great. So they are brilliant. Yeah. They're nutritional and kids love them and can heat them up in a microwave, which is now a cheaper option, isn't it, than your cooker. But there are only so many you can give to somebody.
You see more of that now, where people are asking. I don't know whether people ask, but if they ask for it, they're asking for food that is cheaper to reheat just because of the prices.
So what we're doing at the moment is, and this is pretty bleak, but we've created a no cook parcel, it's called. So, and that is for people who don't want to use their cooker or are nervous about putting their cooker on. So it's not great in terms of nutritional value because it's things like pot noodles it's not something we want to do at all, but you're left in a really difficult situation because some families only want to use a kettle because they're really nervous about using other appliances and the cost of that. So putting that pack together was probably one of the lowest points I think we've seen at Food Bank, realizing that people are fearful of using their cooker. So
not only are you coming here for food, which is hard enough for a family as it is. Now you're having to ask, well, if you give me food, can I even heat it up?
Well, that's it. I mean, you're on the ladder. You're on the lower rungs of the ladder anyway. If you're at a food bank, and then having to explain more, that's really tough for a lot of people. Really tough.
In the United Kingdom in 2022, something that's got to be. I mean, we'll go into because there's so many things, and I'm going to keep bouncing as I always do. But you were Downing Street yesterday, weren't you?
I was,
taking it to the gaffers, really. And that's what we've got to do. And anyone who's listening to this, there's no point in sitting in a room moaning about it. The only way that we can make a change is by making the change.
That's right.
We've got to have courage because we as a people are the government.
Yeah.
We decide what is right and wrong. And if we don't vote and if we don't do anything about it, then nothing will change. We must stand up for ourselves. We must say, no, this isn't right. And like we're saying, you're going up there's free petition on that day, but you've done it.
Yeah.
And you'll do it again.
That's
and you'll do it again.
right.
And if we keep knocking on the door, eventually they'll answer and hopefully the change will happen.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, so we took a petition to Downing Street. So we work as part of another organisation called IFAN, and there's a national food bank called Trussell Trust, and then a lobbying group called Feeding Britain. So we took a petition down that was signed by 3,000 food banks and volunteers, basically kind of explaining that food banks are at their limit in terms of what they can actually achieve, because donations have dropped, demand has increased, and actually, what are we doing? like you say, Kev, why are we in the situation where food banks have become part of the culture? That's never ever what we intended to do when we very first started, a small charity that would help the most vulnerable in society. That's totally fine, and that happens all the time, and that's good. That's what the voluntary sector do. But to become something that is the heartbeat of the Black country, that isn't what we intended at all. But we have to do that because the need is so great. So you're right, we do have to use our voices, we have to use our stories, we have to use our stats and take it to the powers that be and say, this is what's actually happening on the ground.
And ultimately, if you run out of food supply or money to keep the lights on, where do them people then turn to?
Well, that's a really scary situation that we did mention yesterday when we met the MPs, because we're spending about £3,000 a month trying to keep the shelves stocked.
Is that that's on top of
Donation.
all of the donations you
That's
give?
right.
So that's not just you're spending £3,000 to feed people.
Yeah.
So on top of all the wonderful people.
That's right. That's exactly right, Kev. Yeah.
That's why I want to really home into people who are listening. That's £3,000 on top.
On top. So what you saw, I was showing you, wasn't I, that this is what we bought, that's been donated, you can see, So, if you think that, the people of the Black country are absolutely incredible in terms of their giving. The majority of what you saw was donated by people. It's just mind-blowing. Community is amazing and so very good at looking after each other. But you're right, on top of all that, we are still having to spend. And I've been a part of Black Country Food Bank for 11 years, and we've never had to spend money before. We've had a little bit, and we've, bought a bit of milk maybe, but not to keep ourselves going.
Yeah, it's more like we're running out of milk. We need something.
We haven't got any milk.
Yeah.
Like, it's gone. We need to go and buy some. It's that situation.
And when I went there, because people like to say, oh, well, we don't care about it. Everyone's out for themselves. And looking there, and I got a bit emotional, my mum had a cry. And I was looking at, and I thought, every can of beans here, every toothbrush, every pot of jam has been donated by someone who probably ain't too far from being here themselves.
Yeah, you are so right. The majority of our donors literally just walk in off the street with a carrier bag and they say, I've just done some shopping and I've got you a few bits. Like, brilliant. And that's why we've seen such a drop in donations, because the cost of living is affecting everybody. The person, your neighbour in the street who would normally donate, is probably a little bit nervous at the moment and thinking, I'm not sure I've quite got enough to do that.
Even at the start of the year, £20 in grocery shopping went quite a decent way. £20. I'll go in there now and I don't feel like I'll come out with a shopping bag full and I've spent £30.
Totally.
So you can understand people again. I'd love to donate. I'd love to.
Yeah.
But
No. You have your fiver. And all right, I'll donate this fiver, and we'll you know what I mean. Then all of a sudden, your bills are now costing you an extra £7.50.
That's right.
So not only can you not get that fiver, you've lost £2.50 as well.
Yeah. That's how critical the situation is. That you're absolutely right. It's and so it's. But we're still getting donations in. They are still coming in, and that's what's so fantastic about, local people. Are just hearts are massive, for looking after each other. Really mind blowing.
Well, Jen just brought me the thing up. Even though it's only down the road, we're going to start doing little collections here. So if anyone does want to drop something off, and she brought the shopping list, because once again, if I've only got £3 to donate, I want to know that £3 is going to last.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we'll say this by next year, you'll be begging for baked beans. Don't want to be giving them.
I'll let you know.
But it's that thing of, we want to help. So we'd like to know, like when I give to the Black Country Women's Aid, it's sanitary towels. And I think, two blokes here, both got daughters.
Yeah.
Sanitary towels, Tampax, never entered my brain
Yeah.
until I had my little girl,
Yeah.
and she's still a little girl.
Yeah.
I would hate for when she's a teenager or a woman for her to have accidents,
Yeah.
because as I said to you, and I say all the time, it's not like, oh, check her out when sanitary towels, look at her show. It's a
No,
necessity.
it's a necessity. Yeah, you're right. And so is food care. But like, do you know what I mean? So, like the basic things, you know, even like chopped tomatoes, we don't get loads of chopped tomatoes. I don't know why, but they're such a great thing for making a meal bigger, you know, for bulking things out and, you know, that sort of thing. And then you've got tin meat, which at the moment, I mean, we were laughing, weren't we, saying when we were younger, corned beef hash was just a really typical meal that we'd have, and our mums would make that, and that's great. Now it's a bit of a luxury because corned beef costs an arm and a leg. You know, it's not a given that you're just going to buy things like that. So that's why a lot of our stock has depleted, because items that were easily donated, just it's a real thought process. Should I buy that, or you know, should I buy something else? So I think the other thing to remember is things like breakfast cereal. Like, we get through so much breakfast cereal because breakfast is such an important part of the day, and we want to make sure that children have something like Weetabix. And we're not talking about branded, we're talking about oldie Weetabix, you know, Tesco, Asda. Nobody's bothered at all. It's more about having it in the warehouse. We're definitely not looking or precious about anything that's branded at all. It's just about having the stock in. You know, and we were saying that we love nutritional items. So Weetabix is great, porridge is great. But if somebody's got a box of Cocoa Pops that they want to donate, we will happily and gratefully accept that, knowing that it's going to help a family for a few days.
It's filling tummies, isn't it?
Well,
It's filling tummies.
I was about to
That's
say
what
that
it is.
if you're not eating anything at all,
Yeah.
then really anything at that point's better than
It
not
is.
eating.
It is. It's not a long-term solution. That's not what we're there to provide. We're there to help through a crisis. That's our job, to do that. And I think we do that very well with the stock that we've got. You know, we make sure that in everybody's parcel there are 10 meals for the whole family. So that's 4 breakfasts, 4 lunches, and 4 teas. And that it's not like everybody gets a bag of baked beans or a bag of chopped tomatoes. There are lists that the volunteer use, and they put things in to make meals, you know, so it's a very thought through process. And hopefully we do, you know, we try and get it as right as much as we can. It is based on donations. We can only do what we can with the food we've got, but we do try really hard.
I love that initiative you were telling me and Mum about as well, where it was giving you the ingredients so you can cook a stir fry, you could cook a cottage pie, you could.
Yeah.
Once again, that's education, isn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't realise for this price and these ingredients, I could make a meal that's going to last us a week.
Yeah, so we've really recently launched our recipe bags. They've been so well received, and people are really loving them, and lots of other organisations are interested in having them from us. And they are, like you say, Kev, it's just a bag with all the ingredients in you need to make a meal for 4, plus a recipe card. So it's a step-by-step guide on how to cook it. And there's also a link to our YouTube channel where you can watch somebody cook it as well. So we've launched them in schools, and we've actually started cooking them with families in schools, with pupil premium families and other families too. And they've absolutely loved it, and being able to cook a meal for 4, put it in a container and take it home for tea. So we're really pleased with that. We've got 3 recipes at the moment. We've got chili con carne, spaghetti carbonara, and goulash, and we're about to do a tuna pasta bake, I think is the next one. But we're open to lots of recipes. We want to do ones that are a bit more culturally diverse. You know, think of other groups in society that we could help, and it's just really exciting what we've got planned. And like you say, it's empowering and equipping people to cook and be a family and cook together, and make something nutritional that isn't expensive. You know, it is possible, but sometimes you just need a bit of help to figure that out. And we all do, don't we, at the moment? You know, we all need a bit of help with our shopping to know what's good value, and it's tough, isn't it?
Sorry, Gabe, before we go further, we've had a just message. I'll bring this up on the screen, then I'll read it out to Jen because she's not facing the screen. So it's saying, such sad times, Jen. Thank you and your team for the amazing work you guys deliver. Exceptional stuff. Hopefully the MPs will listen to your petition and provide you with proper support, which is so desperately needed.
Oh, thank you. That's really lovely. I have to say that the team that does support the organisation is mind-blowing. Kev, you met a few of them, didn't you, at the warehouse? So we've got 30 volunteers at our warehouse, and like I say, over 300 over the organisation. And without them, I mean, all those people giving their time for free, it's just mind-blowing, just amazing.
I'm going to presume you're looking for more volunteers as well. Is there a way people can get in touch?
Yeah, I mean, actually, we're not, because we've got such a good team. And once people start volunteering, they absolutely love it, and so they stay for a long time. A lot of people are maybe retired. You know, Kev was chatting to somebody, weren't you, that was retired, and he was saying how that through the pandemic, he's so glad he was able to volunteer because he just didn't know what he was going to do with his time otherwise. So we're always happy for people to apply and get an application form filled in. One thing we do struggle for is things like somebody to drive the vans. We need somebody who is maybe driven a van before and used to that sort of environment.
Not to put you on the spot, but it's just a normal size.
Yeah,
no,
just
you don't
a
need to be
van.
a lorry driver, basically.
Really not. No, it's a
Do
transit
you
van.
still need your certain license, or you have to have it?
No, it's under 3.5 ton.
Yeah, it's just a normal driving license. It normally helps if you've driven even if it's a small van before, because it can be quite daunting to suddenly, jump in a van. But that's probably the one thing that is, sometimes needed. If the food banks need their volunteers, they will look in their local community. We try and encourage local community to support their local food bank, because we're building a community around that food bank. So
I say it all the time now with the strikes and everything. When the volunteers put down tools, and these are the people who don't get paid, don't do any. When the best people in society say no more, the country would fold then, wouldn't it?
No, the voluntary sector is an absolute backbone of how the country is keeping going, without doubt. And it just doesn't get enough credit, for actually what is provided, and especially the Black Country. There are some incredible charities doing some amazing things, not just Black Country Food Bank. I was saying that we support between 40 and 50 other food charities that are nothing to do with us particularly, but maybe they cook a hot meal, or they do a breakfast club. It doesn't really matter. We happily support them with items that we have surplus, maybe beans or whatever it is. But if you think of all of that's going on every day for people, there's so much incredible work happening for people in the Black Country. It really is an amazing place to be. It's an absolute privilege, to be honest.
And on that, I'll mention at the end of the show, but I'm doing my fire walk for the Black Country Women's Aid.
Oh, brilliant.
Wednesday the 26th from the Dudley Town Arms. So me and a group of people are going to be walking, raise money and toiletries and household goods for women and children in refuge. So follow us on our social medias. There is a GoFundMe page. I want to get up to £200 on there. I think we're up to 150 at the minute, so not shy of it. And we're raising money at the club, and just let's donate, because these poor people who are leaving a bad situation, they're going with absolutely nothing. So anything, it's bad enough when you go on holiday and you've got your phone charger. Times that by a million.
So
you know what I mean? So reach out, donate, and let's help. We shouldn't just be giving at Christmas.
No.
In fact, that reminds me of when I was at your place and I was talking to one of the lads. And when you've been busy, because funny enough now, Kev, we are, because we've got Harvest Festival.
Yeah.
So all the churches, the primary schools are donating. He goes, but we've had weeks where our shelves have been more bare.
Yeah.
And so we've got to remind ourselves of this, guys. It is tough. I know it's bloody tough. But if we can chip together in our sports halls like we're doing now, and maybe other boxing clubs or dojos or churches, or have something where your people, when you can afford something, drop it in there, and at the end of the week, you can take a little carrier bag.
Yeah.
It hasn't got to be cartons and
No.
suitcases. If we could just take a bit of coffee or a bit of milk or a bit of,
Yeah.
as a community in these hubs, we're going to make a difference.
Yeah. And I think what's really important to remember is that every single donation has a massive impact on the person that receives it. So it can never be too small a donation ever. One can of anything or one carton of UHT milk. Like it sounds crazy and it sounds dramatic, but it can be life changing for somebody, you know, who's really struggling. So never, I wouldn't want anybody to ever feel like their donation is not big enough, because it's just so important, and we always are super grateful for every single thing we receive.
I think there's probably companies out there as well that could potentially do an initiative where you bring in just one single item, and if every person in that company was able to do that, you could fill a lot of shelves.
Yeah, definitely. And there's lots of, like, you know, ideas like a food bank Friday, you know, and if anybody has any ideas, then do get in touch with me, because I'm happy to talk about lots of things. And corporates love doing things like businesses love raising money through sponsored cycles, or, you know, walking, or whatever it is they're good at as a team, or a bake sale, or there's lots of ways that they can support, because we don't just accept the physical donations, you know, cash donations we use as well to buy stock. So if somebody wanted to give us some money, but they were really wanted to make sure we were going to buy something, we put it in a different fund in our bank account called our food and toiletries fund. We restrict that money, and when we are running low on something, we spend that. So we are really well equipped at making sure that if somebody wants to help, we'll try and help them do that, you know.
And I mentioned off air earlier that on last week, my youngest daughter goes to Old Park School on the Thorns Road, and they did a mufti day, but instead of handing over £1, you did a donation into the food bank.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just a great idea, because it's a nightmare for us, because every time there's a mufti day, I forget to give her the £1 as well. You know, you don't forget a big bag of food, hopefully.
No, that's right.
Bag of
Yeah,
food. But even there, you know, ultimately, if you can't afford that £1 for there, you have more chance of being able to afford a tin of beans, which is, you know, 50p. So it could potentially be saving parents money.
Yeah.
Doing it that way.
Yeah.
You were telling me about Morrison's at Kings Winford. They do a bag, don't they?
They do, yeah. So they've got this great initiative where, as you're walking into the shop, on the right-hand side,
By the pharmacies, is this?
as soon as you go through the doors.
Oh, yes, so where like the coal and all those.
Yeah, that's right. As soon as you go through the doors on the right-hand side, there's some shelving with some bags on, and in the bags, they've put a few items in there. They've totted up the cost. They put almost like a receipt on there, I think, and they kind of like staple it on. You take the bag to the till, and you almost like buy the bag, and then that bag comes to us, or I think there's another charity involved, but that's fine as long as it's supporting people. That's absolutely cool. So but it's brilliant because it kind of takes the thought process out of it. You just have to pick the bag up, and all the bags are costed differently. So you don't necessarily have to, you can spend, it's like £1.50. I think it goes up to maybe £5 the most. So there's a lot of choice, and you can buy toiletries.
But if I buy the bag, I go up.
Yeah.
I scan it, then do I give it back to them and then they bring it to you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly how it works. Yeah. So it just, if you were going through a till, you just hand it to them and then they scan it.
They scan it and then they bring it to you. So that's a great. So
Great,
once again,
it's
for
great.
£1.55, whatever you want to spend.
Very clever. Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm getting, but I want to help.
Yeah, but it tells you in the bag.
Yeah.
So it says like toiletries or children's toiletries, because we do like we do nappies, we do wipes, we do children's toothpaste, children's toothbrushes. So, you know, that could be something you feel like you want to donate. Lots of choice.
But isn't it nice? What if because it surprised me. Certain companies around here don't donate to the black country; they donate nationally. And being such a proud area, which we all are from the black country, we're a very strong clan. You want to give. Obviously, we want to save the world. But in times like this, giving to our own around here is empowerment, isn't it? When you walk and you see so many starving people and everything, you want to be given to that area.
Yeah.
What other companies around here are doing that? Look, it's good. I always believe I don't talk about the bad people. I want to talk about the good people who are helping, like Kings Winford's, Morrison's.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got quite a few companies involved at the moment. It really depends whether they know what to do. So a lot of like even us talking today is brilliant, isn't it? Because it's sharing about Black Country Food Bank. I think a lot of places don't know how to help. They want to, but they're not totally sure how to, and that's why things like social media and just getting yourself out there. You know, often companies will go, I didn't even know you were here. You know, even you coming over, you know, we've been there since 2013 in Bridie Hill, been there a long time. So it's just, I think it's just educating the surrounding areas and letting everybody know that we're in Bridie Hill, but we've also got food banks right across the boroughs, you know. So I think there's, like I said before, there's a lot of good people who are in a situation now where they're just not sure what the best thing to do is. So reaching out and asking and seeing, you know, how they can help, I think is the best way. But we've got corporates back in volunteering with us, which has been great. We've got another company who's doing like almost like raffling off a gift card. That's great. And they came in to donate the gift card the other day, and that was great to meet them. We had a picture with the Express and Star. So I think it's just talking about it, isn't it? And letting people know we're there.
Because when you started 2006,
Yeah,
what was a catalyst? What I can't remember 2006 that well. But what happened?
I can't either.
What was the?
So,
How did the country get in that much peril that we needed food banks? And then what hasn't changed or got worse since 2006? So we've got now 3,000 food banks.
yeah, I know. I don't know what happened. I don't know about 2006. So I've been there for 10, 11 years. So, but the lady that first started Black Country Food Bank was a lady called Wendy Fryatt, and she had a real kind of like heart for it was people in Stourbridge, and I think it was linked to her church really. And she started on her dining room table just putting a few parcels together and helping a few local families, because I think the reality is, Kev, that there's always been poverty.
Oh yeah.
So I think it didn't, there was no plan for it to become what it is. It was just I know a few families within our church, and then those families maybe know a few others. Let's just see if we can help them with a bit of food, you know, that sort of idea. So there was never the plan that it was going to suddenly, you know, we were going to end up all these years on, me going to Downing Street, taking a petition to say enough was enough kind of thing, you know. So I think it was just more her kind of seeing a need, you know, in her very small community. And it is what it is now.
And do you think, like, as you said, there's always been soup kitchens?
Yeah.
But do you think the narrative has changed, that it was the soup kitchen for the homeless
Yes.
to a food bank for the working class and drifting into the middle class all of a sudden?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think the word soup kitchen, you know, it created its own stigma, didn't it? An image of what that involved. And I think what's happening again is food banks done the same. I think the word food bank makes people think, I don't want to go there, you know. And I guess that's one thing I'd really want to say. If anybody is nervous about using a food bank, I would say don't be. It's not, if you need to use a food bank, it's a lot of people are using them. They are places of welcome.
Sorry to butt in, Jim.
No,
can
you're
you go?
all right.
So I've written that kind of in the description that we want to we bring you on the show to talk about, but also break down the stigma.
Yeah.
So if I was to need the food bank now, what can I expect when we actually go in there?
And how do I go about it?
Yeah. So how do you go about it? If you were thinking now, I'm struggling, I know, you know, probably could do with a little bit of a helping hand with food. If you are on universal credit or any sort of benefit, then you can we have vouchers and we have or a code that you can take to a food bank. So you apply through your journal, send an email or a message through your journal, and that can sometimes take a little bit of time. Every family centre in Dudley Borough has our vouchers as well. So if you've got children, a family centre is a brilliant way to connect with an organisation who can help with so many things, not just food bank, applying for benefits, filling in forms, whatever it is you need. They're absolutely brilliant, and available to connect with all week. They're open all week. So family centres are great. But if you're really not sure and you just think, oh, I'm freaking out, then ring our office. So our office is open Monday to Friday, 9 till 1. And the number is 01384 671 250. And ring us and we'll try and help get you in touch with somebody who can get a voucher or a code or whatever. The food banks so when you go to a food bank, you will take your voucher. A volunteer will take that from you, because then a parcel will be made up according to how many people are in the family. So if it's a family of 4, the volunteer will go and make up that parcel for a family of 4, and you'll just be asked to take a seat. Some of the food banks have tea and coffee again now, which is just great. And you just wait, really, and there's volunteers to chat to. And so if there's something else you want help with, say it's debt or whatever, there's often signposting that's available.
Fantastic. And if it was someone who maybe had a disability and couldn't get out of the house, I don't want to say delivery service, but is there something along the lines where you would? Yeah,
we don't deliver, but what you often find with somebody with a disability is they quite often have a support worker, or quite a good network, and so somebody else can go to the food bank.
So it doesn't have to be you personally.
No, it doesn't. Absolutely not. We are really flexible. We definitely don't deliver, though, because we don't have any funding for that, and it would be with 2 vans, it would be very tricky to kind of manage all that. So we don't do that. But again, if somebody rings the office and talks through what the problem is, then we often can figure something out for them.
That's it. I mean, you see the media, and I said, "Oh, people, they're just trying to get something for nothing." People aren't choosing to have a choice. They're not going, "Oh, well, I'll save myself a fiver this week, and I'm going to go and drip the system."
No,
it's people who blooming need it.
Yeah. It is, yeah. And that's not to say that we have a very small minority who maybe know a little bit how the system works. That's the same with lots of charities. Sadly, people tend to concentrate and focus on that small group. And what we want to talk about is the massive majority that we do help that are genuine. That's our focus. And for that tiny minority, it's a drop in the ocean compared to the good stuff that's happening. And that's what we want to talk about and make sure that that's celebrated, really.
What would you like the government to do?
Benefits need increasing in line with inflation, because when the £20 uplift was taken away, that £20 was people's food money. So that's gone. But also, inflation is just horrendous. I mean, look at what's happening and think about mortgages. That, we're entering into a really scary world, aren't we? A scary country. Pressures have so mounted, haven't they? They're massive. So that just has to happen to just get people surviving. But like wages, minimum wage and all that, 0-hour contracts, not good for people, not helpful at all, but something needs to happen, and really soon, really quickly.
The 0 hours. It's hard to build a life around 0 hours, isn't it? Because am I working 5 hours? Am I working 50 hours? And then, but he's grateful to have 0 hours, but if I'm sick, I don't get paid.
Yeah.
We don't look after our own. We don't look after our staff.
Yeah.
We don't look after the workers. Whatever, if he does need to be sick, how about if he does have a breakdown? How about if he does get injured? How about, and we need more contracts of safe working and less agencies.
Yeah.
We need to look after the people.
Yeah.
We need to make people feel safe in their jobs. You know what I mean? The
Mm.
worker and the employer have got to work together, haven't they? If
Yeah.
they're both happy, we'll flourish.
Yeah.
But if we're both frightened that the other one's going to rip the other one off, we're
Yeah.
living in a very panicky, paranoid world, aren't we?
Yeah. And people, so what we're seeing is, so Food Bank was a crisis charity. It was for crisis. So people, I don't know, had a huge bill go out, or, you know, maybe their benefits were stopped for a couple of weeks, or so, you know, something like that. So, okay, that's fine. Now, nobody's got any money every month. Like, every single month. So the one thing we've never ever wanted to do is create dependency on Food Bank. That's the worst thing to happen to somebody. We are really struggling to say to somebody, you know, what you're going to do because you've used Food Bank for the past few months, because there aren't any options left. There are no options left. So that's what's it's a big challenge for people. Really tough. It's really tough.
So he was almost like a stopgap while things were being sorted out. Whereas now,
that's right.
Now there's no stopgap because there's no light at the end of that tunnel.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
But I can't cut back on anything else.
That's it.
I can't bring any more money in.
No.
So what can I do?
What can I do?
I'm now having to have a pot noodle give to me, and I'm only using my kettle.
I know. It's bleak, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah.
And then we're on about warm rooms, and we're saying, but if government and councils funded a boxing club where people could come and get warm, have a cup of coffee, if we could get some sandwiches put on here and have hubs, like in your pubs, like a carvery or a whatever it is, so they can be fed. Where's Darren today? I don't know. Let's check on him. Give people a community where they're loved, where they can work, where they can be a part of something. And you know what, Lee, while you're here, do you mind putting the mop around? Do you mind cutting them trees? Yeah, great. I'll volunteer because I'm part of the gang. We need that back, don't we? But when community centres are closing and gyms are closing and churches are all full, and where do people go?
Yeah.
They can't leave the house, but they can't leave the house because they ain't got the money to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
And the one place, your home, your castle, your palace, is freezing cold and scary and lonely. We've got to change it, guys. But the only way, if the government aren't going to do it, we've got to be doing it. We've got to be helping people out. And if you know someone who is struggling, invite them round. Back in the day, instead of dropping them a Facebook, you go, pop round for a brew. Because that cup of coffee in the warm, having a bicky, might be all the difference, hasn't it?
It will be all the difference, won't it? We said before, there's nothing worse for your mental health than loneliness.
No.
And imagine being in their own place, lonely, with no food, shivering. Yeah. It one-ups just loneliness then, doesn't it?
We can't even put the telly on to get a bit of company.
Yeah.
Because how many people, they put the telly on the radio so they don't feel alone in their house. But then you're having to keep everything off in the dark. The one thing you're going to put on is the kettle for a pot noodle.
Yeah.
And at this point, in terms of families, we're coming up to Christmas now, and the extra pressure of providing presents. You know, it's going to be really bleak Christmas for some people.
It's going to be tough.
If it wasn't already. So yeah, anyone out there listening, I hope that if you have the means to donate, even if it is a tin of beans, I know we're joking that, but even if it is, if that's what you can afford to donate, please do so.
And I'd like everyone to remember of the Christmas of the lockdown, where we were all putting our things there saying, all I want for Christmas is to see me mum. All for Christmas I want is to see me nan, and to get us all there in a room. So don't think about what we can buy, what we can spend. Surround ourselves with the people who matter.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I like that a lot. Good to remember that, isn't it? That's such a good thing to remember. Yeah.
And it's only 2 years ago, isn't it?
I know.
I want to see Mom next year. I want Gucci.
Absolutely.
But let's remind ourselves of the thing that does matter. And if we have got people who we love, if we're lucky enough to have those people, let's surround ourselves with them. You know what I mean? So I'm going to leave. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Or
I think that's everything. But apart from thank you so much for having me and listening to me talk about Food Bank for a long time. So I really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for having me.
And I always get our guests. I'm gonna put you on the spot now. I should have warned you, but
Uh-oh.
is there any quotes or sayings that have helped you get through life?
Oh my word. Gosh, you really have put me on the spot now.
Or is there any sayings from the food bank, or just something you picked up?
Well, I'll tell you what I'll tell you. Okay, so our strapline at Black Country Food Bank, which is great, which I love, is love, connect, invest. So we love everyone all the time. We connect with people and other organisations, and we invest in our volunteers and the people that we look after.
That's wonderful. All right then, guys. Well, thank you all for listening. So until we see each other next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Ta-ra a bit.
Listen.
And that's a wrap for another show. But if there are any comments or messages that you would like us to read out for our next podcast, please be in touch. There are also lots of different organisations at the bottom of this page, and hopefully they can help you or someone you care about. Please share this to spread the word. Until we talk next time, ta-ra a bit.